Today we're going to talk about using articles with proper nouns. The Great Lakes and Lake Ontario, these are proper nouns. They're names of geographic locations. The problem is, with some proper nouns you need to use the word the, and with other proper nouns you don't. So for example, have you been to the Great Lakes? You need the word the. Have you been to Lake Ontario? There's no the. Now, you might already have a sense of which proper nouns might require the word the. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do three things. First, we're going to do a pretest to see if you have a sense of which nouns need the. Second, we're going to do a grammar explanation. And then third, we're going to do a final test, which is a little bit more difficult. So let's start with the pretest. So pause the video and do this pretest. When you're ready, I'll show you the answers. Are you ready to see the answers? Okay, let's check the answers. Number 1, we have 3 offices in South America. 2, environmentalists are concerned that the Pacific Ocean is becoming more and more polluted. 3, a tugboat capsized in the Fraser River yesterday. 4, we went hiking in the Andes last summer. 5, the People's Republic of China was established on October 1st, 1949. 6, have you been to Great Britain? 7, Mariko received a bachelor's degree from Tokyo University. 8, the view from the top of Grouse Mountain is beautiful. 9, the barbecue party will be at Alice Lake. 10, you should visit the Marshall Islands. So let's move on to the grammar explanation. I'm going to give you 4 tips. So tip number 1 is use the if the proper noun is plural. So the United States is a plural noun. The Hawaiian Islands is several islands, so you use the. It's a plural noun. So when you have a singular island, there's no the, so Vancouver Island. But when you have a chain of islands, and you can see it's a plural noun, Galapagos Islands, you have to use the. Lakes is the same. Lake Ontario, no the. The Great Lakes is a plural noun, so you need the. Mountains, one mountain is Mount Everest, but many mountains is the Rocky Mountains is a chain of mountains. For countries, it's the exact same thing. Canada is a singular country, but the United States is a plural country. The Netherlands is also plural. Just be careful. Countries that end in S aren't always plural. So for example, Honduras, it ends in S. It looks like it's plural, but it's actually not a plural name. So there's no the. Tip number 2, use the if the proper noun contains the word of. So the Gulf of Mexico contains the word of, so you use the. The People's Republic of China contains the word of, so you use the. So all of these, Simon Fraser University, no the. But the University of British Columbia. Hudson Bay, no the. But the Bay of Fundy. Queen Elizabeth, the Queen of England. The Federal Republic of Germany. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The Gulf of Finland. The Isle of Man, the north of England. How about British Columbia Institute of Technology? Well, it has of, and it's usually written with the British Columbia Institute of Technology. So this is a very strong rule. Always use the if there's of. Tip number 3 is to memorize which proper nouns require the and which proper nouns don't, according to categories. For example, oceans always use the Pacific Ocean. Lakes don't use the. For example, Alice Lake. Don't use the with these proper nouns. Continents, Asia, Europe. Provinces, Alberta, British Columbia. States, California, Washington. Cities, Vancouver, Toronto. Streets, Granville Street. Planets, Mars, Jupiter, Mercury. Lakes, Cultus Lake. Creeks, Hat Creek. Islands, Gambier Island. Waterfalls, Niagara Falls. Magazines, Money Sense Magazine, National Geographic Magazine. Mountains, Whistler, Grouse Mountain. Colleges, Douglas College. Stadiums, BC Place Stadium. Don't use the with these proper nouns. However, you need to use the with these proper nouns. Oceans, the Pacific Ocean. Seas, the Japan Sea. Rivers, the Yangtze River. Deserts, the Gobi Desert. Forests, the Black Forest. Canals, the Panama Canal. Coasts, the Sunshine Coast. Canyons, the Grand Canyon. Reefs, the Great Barrier Reef. Buildings, the CN Tower. Hotels, the Hilton. Theaters, the Arts Club Theater. Bridges, the Portman Bridge. Ships, the Titanic. Newspapers, the Province. One other thing I'll just show you as well is notice that the is always not capitalized unless it's at the beginning of the sentence. The only time that it's capitalized is when it's part of the name. And with most newspapers, it is part of the name. So with newspapers, the would be always capitalized. So let's just test yourself right now and see if you remember. So Atlantic Ocean, with oceans, you always use the. Mediterranean Sea, with seas, you always use the. English Channel, with channels, you always use the. Gulf of Mexico. Here is an easy rule because it's got of, so you know that it always uses the. Deer Lake. It's a lake. Lakes don't use the. So here is just one rule with bodies of water. Most bodies of water use the, but lakes don't use the. Let's go on to another one. Rivers versus creeks. A river is very wide and a creek is very small. Okay, so a creek is like a small river. The Nile River, you always use the. But a small creek, Harvey Creek, no the. Geographical features. The Amazon Forest, the Arabian Desert, the Grand Canyon, the Great Barrier Reef, the Sunshine Coast. All of these geographical features use the. However, these geographical features don't use the. Waterfalls, such as Shannon Falls. Mountains, such as Mount Robson. Ayers Rock. Islands, such as Salt Spring Island. Regions, the Middle East, the Arctic, the North, the prairies. But you don't use the with these ones. Southeast Asia, Northern Canada. Countries, so United Arab Emirates. You know that this is a plural noun, so you use the. The Republic of South Africa. You know that it has of, so you use the. The Russian Federation. With any words like a formal name of a country, like using federation or republic, you use the word the. The United Kingdom. With any word united, you know that you have to use the. Next is Great Britain and Japan. No the. Structures. So most structures use the. The Great Pyramid, the Tokyo Tower, the Suez Canal, the Broad Street Bridge, the Palace Theater, the Hoover Dam, the Empire State Building, the Waldorf Hotel, the Great Wall, the Channel Tunnel. All banks use the Royal Bank, the Vancouver Art Gallery. But some structures don't use the, such as hospitals, St. Paul's Hospital. And most stadiums don't use the, such as BC Place Stadium. Celestial bodies, things in outer space. The moon, you always say the moon or the sun, but planets have no the, so Mars, Jupiter. Magazines versus newspapers. Newsweek magazine, no the, but newspaper, the Vancouver Sun. Abbreviated names. So we have BCIT, UBC. Names of schools, no the. Names of provinces, BC, British Columbia, PEI. These are no the, Prince Edward Island. But these countries need the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, the PRC, the People's Republic of China, the US, the United States. These ones need the. So you can see that the rules are very complex for remembering names and you have a lot to memorize. Tip number 4, you need to memorize the exceptions and understand variations. Mountains don't take the, like Mount Kilimanjaro, Grouse Mountain, Mount Everest. However, there is an exception, and that's the Matterhorn, which is a mountain in Europe. Cities don't take the, like Vancouver, Toronto, New York, Seattle. However, there is an exception, The Hague, which is in the Netherlands. With some proper nouns, the rule seems to be very inconsistent. For example, with valleys, should you use the or no the? Well, with Death Valley in California, the is rarely used. But with the Jordan Valley in the Middle East, the is almost always used. For in these cases, you're best to look online to see what is most common. There's also variation with rivers. For example, remember that rivers should always use the, and that's true with large rivers. The Fraser River, the Mississippi River, the Amazon, you'll always use the. But quite often with smaller rivers, you see that the is omitted. However, I recommend that with rivers, you always use the, because you'll never be wrong. So we've done the pretest, the grammar explanation. Now you're ready for the final test. So this test has 2 parts and a total of 20 questions. I'll show you the answers between each part. So pause the video and do final test 1, and then I'll show you the answers. Are you ready to see the answers for part 1? Here we go. 1. He spent 3 months in Southeast Asia. 2. We are building a new hotel near the Swiss Alps. 3. You can see beluga whales at the mouth of the St. Lawrence River. 4. Brandywine Creek overflowed and flooded the highway. 5. The ship departed from the port of Sendai. 6. Our shipment will be delayed because there's a powerful typhoon in the Indian Ocean. 7. John is a medical radiation technologist at Eagle Ridge Hospital. 8. There's a very nice view from the top of the CN Tower. 9. There have been several shipwrecks in the Great Lakes over the years. 10. Mandeep graduated from Delhi University last year. How did you do? Well, let's move on to part 2. Pause the video and do final test number 2, and then I'll show you the answers. Are you ready to see the answers? Okay. Number 11. The Lionsgate Bridge opened in 1938. 12. I can see Mount Baker from my office window. 13. The largest planet is Jupiter. 14. The hedge fund will be managed from our office in the Bahamas. 15. I read the Wall Street Journal every morning before I come to work. 16. I'm staying at the Holiday Inn. 17. Andrea lives on Bowen Island. 18. Food prices in northern Canada are too high. Ketchup can cost over $9 a bottle. 19. There are several ghost towns in the Mojave Desert. 20. The Dead Sea has a very high salt concentration.